Right, but it started out with death panels, where you had a, quote, independent board of professionals who were using cost analysis to decide who lives and who dies. And that's what we have with Obamacare.
Well, yeah, they had the IBM Hollerith machines for those death panels.
That's right.
Unbelievable. And now IBM again today. For my research, have you looked into Thomas Watson, the big Nazi eugenicist, and how he put a lot of IBM's money into a trust? And that's why IBM is always involved in RFID and tracking and human genome and eugenics, is because literally many of these big foundations, pure mission, these people are obsessed with killing people.
Well, look, you had a meeting in New York City at Rockefeller University about 6-8 months ago, and there was then a follow-on meeting, and the participants were Bill Gates, George Soros, Warren Buffett, and a half a dozen other multi-billionaires who pledged to put all of their, quote, philanthropic money into the most important issue, which for them was population reduction. It's all right there in black and white. So you've got this little wannabe oligarchy group who all made their money in one way or another in speculation and other dirty activity. Soros's big deal is drug legalization and laundering drug money. That's who he is on behalf of the British. So it's a repeat of things that we've seen many times before in history, but now we're seeing it with a real vengeance, and we've got to just make sure these people are crushed before their plans go ahead.
And by the way, at the end of the Times of London article from 2009 in May that you report on, billionaire club and bid to curb overpopulation, and at the end of this article and others, they admit it's a world government to carry out the population reduction. And then you get the Royal Commission from 49, excuse me, that I know you've written about. They said we could industrialize, and actually the third world wouldn't have too many children, even in their view. But instead, we're going to cut off development, let their populations explode, and then have after-the-fact mitigating things to kill them off, like war, famine, diet, injections, and injunctions. So they let you be born and then kill you. I mean, it's these people make Jeffrey Dahmer look like Mother Teresa.
That's the oligarchical system. That's the essence of it.
These people are beyond evil, and we did put that article on screen that you mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot make this stuff up. Truth is indeed stranger than fiction. Doug in California, you're on the air with Jeff Steinberg. Go ahead.
Good morning, Jeff, Alex.
Hey.
I'm calling from your favorite place here in California, KSCO land in Santa Cruz.
Oh, I love it.
I really like the connection you've been drawing between the weaponization of water and how it's been used to control, and what I'd like to end your guest talking about Ponzi schemes. And as you might know, we have one of the biggest agricultural areas in the world here, $4.5 billion. Monterey Bay, it suffers 15, according to Mark Ryder, the worst saltwater intrusion loss in the world through big agra's expropriation of our water supply to export our water supply, or steal our water. I'd like to hear your guest thoughts on how water might be used and is being used to control us.
Yeah, the takeover of all commodities for artificial scarcity. Jeff Steinberg. Say hi to everybody out there in KSCO land. Beautiful area. If I lived in California, it'd be in Santa Cruz. Thank you so much. We want to say hi to all the listeners of KSCO, like Doris Day, and, of course, the one, the only, folks, you know him out there, is Clint Eastwood. Let's go ahead and get a comment from Jeff Steinberg on that.
Well, look, we've had a complete depletion of the water tables in many, many parts of the country. In other areas, we're getting intensive snows in the winter and rain. We need an effective water management system. It was designed in the 1960s by Parsons Engineering out there in California, called the North American Water and Power Alliance, which would create a modern system of water capture and irrigation through dams and canals, taking about 20% of the Arctic runoff in the spring, funneling it down through the western states of the United States.
Oh, but that's development. You can't have that. That money's got to go to Wall Street so they can fly above our slums in their jets and helicopters.
And not only that, this program would create immediately somewhere in the vicinity of 5 to 9 million productive, good-paying jobs, because this is the largest engineering project that's ever been undertaken in history, and it can be done. You'd create immediate jobs in over 30 states in the country. You'd have a revival of the old.
But Jeff, that's the American system. We're the country that had the big projects, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Panama Canal, when the French couldn't do it. That's evil. That's the American. You know what? I want to do 5 more minutes with you on the other side, and we've got to let you go then. And you've been very gracious, but I want to be able to talk to Richard, Wendy, Tim, Aaron, Keith, and others. But in 30 seconds, I'm going to get one more call in. How would you describe the LaRouche organization? Washington Post calls you right-wing. Other media calls you Marxist. What are you really?
Small R Republican and the American system. What you just said in terms of our perspective, that this is a nation that was founded on the basis of a credit system to get away from a monetary oligarchy. If you go all the way back to the Massachusetts Bay Colony, we established something that had no previous history of existence on this planet, a true republic based on a credit system in which it's not a private oligarchy that governments go begging to borrow money.
Credit empowers the individual. Credit doesn't create a monopoly for the oligarchs that issue the fraudulent instrument.
Precisely.
Precisely. All right, let's jam in one call, get their question. We'll come back and answer it. Richard in California, then Wendy in Hawaii, and others. Richard, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, thank you for talking to me, and I really enjoy your guest. I have a comment and a question for Jeff. Jeff, thanks for everything that you're doing. And here's my comment. I hope that you'll take this very seriously, even though it sounds unusual. But
no, make your comment. We're going to go to break. Go ahead.
Okay. The states are not broke, and they're not states, they're corporations, and they're hiding massive money using the broke charade to take us one step closer to martial law. If that could be exposed, I'm looking for...
You're talking about comprehensive annual financial reports and the fact that we've been induced into debt by fraud. He's saying technically all 50 states are bankrupt within the bailout system if we sign on to the derivatives. But I'll let Jeff Steinberg answer that when we come back. Then Wendy, Tim, Aaron, Keith. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Answering Richard's question, he's talking about the comprehensive annual financial reports, the double set of books, the investments of government, water districts, school districts, state governments, federal government agencies, versus their budget that we know is only one area. What's your comment on that?
Well, all of that's true. And, of course, you know, Wall Street has been doing these various insurance swindles that have looted a number of states and municipalities. But the fundamental point is that immediately after our Constitution was ratified, the country was, for all practical purposes, in debt and bankrupt. And in an agreement that was reached between Hamilton, Washington, Jefferson, Madison, who were already sort of squabbling at that point, it was agreed that the federal government would assume all of the debts of the state so that the federal government could engage in the issuance of credit, converting this debt into an instrument for credit for the development of the economy. And in return, the states would not have the ability to carry forward debt from one year into the next. There's all kinds of tricks that have been done by Wall Street to pervert this system, but the bottom line is that as of July 1st, 47 out of 50 states had to basically have a balanced budget. In other words, they had to come up with cuts, firing police, firing teachers, firing firemen, doing other things.
That's the austerity, and it's because we've agreed to be signed on to the derivatives fraud. So you're saying we're bankrupt when we're signed on to this Ponzi scheme. We've got to unsign from that. Wendy in Hawaii, you're on the air with Jeff Steinberg.
Hello?
Yes, Wendy. Welcome to the airwaves.
Hello. I think I jumped the gun. I saw 2 headlines. I had to run out to work at 4 a.m. It's like 8:30 in Hawaii now. I just got home. But I think somebody brought this up on your show the other day about the Australian Green Party, Bob Brown. The headline said, AU Green Party leader admits global warming is really all about world government.
No, that's official Green Party in Australia. They say it's an excuse to manage all human activity for world government, and we posted those reports last Friday. I appreciate your call, Wendy. That's just more of this continuity of agenda, this global strategy. What is the carbon tax? Jeff Steinberg.
Carbon taxes. It's literally an attempt to create yet one more Ponzi scheme, literally out of hot air. It's an attempt to basically have a new bubble that will be explicitly a tax on any kind of modernization, any industrialization, any improvement on the conditions of life. And not surprisingly, Al Gore, through his blood and gore brokerage house in London, has tried to corner the market on the creation of this global carbon swaps futures market based out of Chicago and London. It's a complete swindle. It's based on a scientific fraud, and literally it's an attempt to create one more Ponzi scheme to kick the can down the road of this vast financial bubble.
And it's even more evil because they selectively enforce it, just like Obamacare, where all the insiders, the inner coterie of the oligarchs, they don't have to pay the tax. It's incredible.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
But it's not going to happen because increasingly the fraud of global warming, the swindle, is becoming more and more transparently obvious. And what I'd really like to just say and urge all of your listeners, all of your viewers, is that we're in the process of winning this Glass-Steagall fight. And the more people that get in on this and get to their congressmen and hold their feet to the fire to do something that will be vitally in the interests of the entire people of the United States, this is it. And I can guarantee if we get Glass-Steagall presented before the House and the Senate for an up or down vote, Obama is doomed.
Absolutely. That puts a stake in the globalist heart big time. Jeff Steinberg, thank you for joining us. Look forward to speaking to you again in the future. LaRouchePAC.com. Thank you. Infowars.com is our site. Under Paul Craig Roberts, straight ahead on DSK and a lot more. Stay with us. We'll take some of your calls as well. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.